No, this isn't clickbait. Because even though I'm showing it in a way so everyone can see it, a lot of people still don't know that Riot Games has actually confirmed that two of its biggest skin lines are going to just go at each other in a crossover event that promises to be epic. Maybe even the spark of a multiverse crisis that's going to generate countless battles between different realities. So without further ado, let's dive in and understand how magical, colorful girls are gonna throw down with sinister cosmic entities that devour everything. The announcement of this crossover happened in 2022, when the 4th season of the Star Guardian skin line arrived. It was showcased in the interactive novel called Another Sky, which launched on July 14th and ended on August 24th. I'm not gonna explain in depth how it worked, because that's not the focus of this video. You just need to know that it had a main storyline, but it also had individual stories for the characters, showing more about each of them. Each chapter of Another Sky had 3 acts, and the act where things really blow up is in Act 3, during the Battle of Star Guardians against the villain of the moment, that is Morgana. When they advance against Morgana, she reveals more of her powers and ults on everyone there. At the moment where her ult chains sink into Akali's chest, she says she felt that power before, namely when she was becoming corrupted, and that was the power of entropy. With help from Kaisa, who says she'll always be there for her, they both hold hands and a light is generated, imbuing them with the power of the first star at maximum. They all attack Morgana together, and she's pulverized, while she doesn't believe she's been defeated by something so cliche as that. And her last words are that the cycle of the first star and the dark star cannot be broken. After that, everyone's happy. There are celebrations. Akali thanks Kaisa for trusting her, Kaisa saying that they'll always be best friends, and nothing will separate them. Akali agrees, and so on. Then it cuts to a scene where Kaisa starts feeling sick, thinking she drank too much, and begins hearing a voice. We see an entity in the background, similar to a black hole, that starts a conversation with Kaisa. This entity recognizes Kaisa as one of the many daughters of the first star, meaning she's one of the chosen ones who's opposing it. Kaisa can't believe what's happening. She tries to speak, but the entity commands her to shut up. The entity then gives Kaisa a warning, saying that its cycle cannot be broken. It offers more details, talking about an infinite cycle of sound, then light, then nothing. That these are the spokes of an eternal wheel, turning through countless eras, crushing everyone beneath it. It claims that Kaisa is not the first who challenged it, nor will she be the last. Because as we know, there have already been several Star Guardians and other teams. In the final part of the warning, the dark entity says that just as the first star has its children, it also has its own, and that they will descend into that universe like a plague of locusts and will consume everything. After that, the entity is very clear, saying that Kaisa will not survive the darkness that is approaching, and that having destroyed its servant, Morgana, only delayed the sweet embrace of oblivion. The entity then finishes by saying that it and Kaisa will meet again, and only then, when she contemplates the destroyed bodies of 1 trillion souls, will she understand the weight of her own failure, bidding Kaisa farewell by calling her child. It's actually kind of funny to see the entity telling Kaisa to be quiet. You can see that nothing there was casual. Anyway, now we have the epilogue of Another Sky, also divided into 3 acts, but here we'll speak of and focus only on the 3rd. Right away, it's a bit hard to know when it takes place, because the subtitle says it was a very, very long time ago. Either way, what really matters is that during the part of the conversation, Syndra has like a headache, and we see the same entity that spoke to Kaisa initiating a conversation with her. And this entity finally has its name revealed. It is the Dark Star. It calls Syndra also a daughter of light, but also a breaker of chains. And it keeps ordering Syndra to open the door, and then shouts it again. Syndra doesn't understand it, and feels the pain in her head once more. Neela asks if she's okay while approaching, but Syndra tells her to step away. Neela then notices Syndra's eye patch and asks what's up with it, since she's never felt a power like the one being radiated. She says afterwards that it was an indescribable void, a power that goes way beyond the concept of good and evil. And she asks what kind of power was this that Syndra ended up bringing into the universe. Syndra tells Neela not to get close, because she doesn't want to hurt her. Neela asks if Syndra actually thinks she could hurt her, and that the power stemming from that eye patch of hers makes her understand in plain letters that she must destroy Syndra right there and then. Then Neela gets excited upon hearing a new challenge has appeared, now having a legendary foe to surpass. She claims it would be a great honor to face face a servant of entropy, Syndra chuckles and realizes that Neela doesn't know what's really going on, even thinking that Neela might give her the answers she's looking for if she followed her lead. Neela then asks her newly honored adversary to reveal her true intentions, with Syndra saying that it's not the right time, yet, adding that she doesn't really know what she's actually capable of, since she hasn't had the chance to fight since some event. Then she mentions Zoe, and asks herself where she might have ended up. Neela gets pissed, and demands that Syndra focus on her enemy, to either conquer or be conquered. Syndra agrees and says she'll do it Neela's way. Then we have some revelations. Syndra begins by saying that she has already seen the damage that the oath, meaning that contract the characters make with the first star, can cause, and that the first star had already collected the prize from Syndra herself and her friends, and that when her colleague betrayed her, she had to flee to survive. I believe she's talking about Zoe, who went crazy and freaked out after what happened with Harp, which, well, is fiddlesticks. Then Syndra continues, saying she no longer needs to run, and that she found something that will break the cycle, probably referring to the motto of the Star Guardians, and that they're destined to burn brightly just to then fade away, meaning they get corrupted and turn into monsters. And yes, this season is super inspired by Puella Magi Madoka Magica and the whole witch theme. Syndra continues by saying that if she's right, this thing will make it so no other Star Guardian ever has to run away again. She then reveals her name, claims to have big plans for this universe, and that she just needs to get past Neela first. And after that, she only needs time. Neela stays hyped because she knows she's going to face such a worthy and powerful opponent now. She wants them to let their battle roar across the universe so everyone can witness it, because that's how she likes it. Syndra says good, and then asks to do one last thing. She removes her eye patch, and we see the dark power emanating. The scene cuts to black, and we only hear Neela, disbelieving, asking what Syndra is. And Syndra replies that she is the end of everything. Now let's comment on what just went down. First, there was a huge aura flex between the two of them, and Neela in the part talking about the battle across the whole universe reminded me of Tai Lung saying his fight versus the Dragon Warrior would be legendary. Now about this cycle thing, it leaves a bit of confusion. Syndra basically discovered the Dark Star and wants to use it to bring an end to everything, so the first star no longer exists. But the Dark Star already seems to be in a constant cycle of creation and destruction with the first star. Yet, as we saw in the conversation, somehow Syndra is the one who brought the Dark Star into this universe. Here's the thing. When I checked the wiki, it says the Dark Star is an entity so powerful that it's spreading across the multiverse, showing up in the Odyssey universe and the Star Guardian universe. And there's even a thing that the Odyssey universe connects to the Event Horizon universe via the Aura Gate. The champion Jin even has a line that hints the crew of the Morning Star ended up opening that gate again.
You opened that gate? Excellent. I could use a change of scenery, you know.
A small detail. When the gate was opened for the first time, Darkstar Rost ended up in that universe. But during the crossing, he somehow got trapped inside that scythe, basically sealed within it. He now plans to reopen that gate so that other beings corrupted by the Darkstar can enter the Odyssey universe. He even shows that some curiosity about visiting the Star Guardian universe in one of his voice lines.
Well now, I'm not familiar with your universe, but oh, how I could be.
We also get another revelation that helps clarify the whole situation between the First Star and the Dark Star. First, the power that corrupted many Star Guardians, and even created the Star Nemesis, comes from the Dark Star, specifically from some kind of cosmic entity that was corrupted by it. What's most interesting is that the First Star itself might actually be an entity that originated in the Event Horizon universe, and escaped to another one to begin the new cycle of creation. That's even why it has the name the First Star, because it was quite literally the first star to ever exist in that new universe, one that didn't yet have any form of life. It makes perfect sense and ties everything together beautifully. Now that we know how it all began and how it connects, let's take a look at the skins coming to both of these themes in this event. On the Star Guardian and Star Nemesis side, I'd say Evelyn is almost guaranteed to get one. She's a super popular champion, and Riot has been pretty much assembling the full KDA team in this universe. First Ari, then Akali, and Kaisa, all three got legendary skins and serve as team captains. I don't think Riot will make Evelyn a Star Guardian, at least not at first. She'll likely be a Star Nemesis, but somehow, maybe through the power of love and friendship, she'll end up switching sides and helping the Guardians. Though she'd still keep her seductive and mischievous personality. She'd basically play the same role as Tommy Oliver from the first Power Rangers season. Riot, who started out as a villain under Rita Repulsa's control and later became a hero. In Evelyn's case, she'd be more of an anti-heroine. Now, another thing that's very likely is the introduction of new Outer Guardians. For those who aren't familiar, the Outer Guardians are a group of Star Guardians whose jurisdiction extends far beyond the Galactic Ring. They protect the universe from threats to reality itself. They're basically like an elite force among the Star Guardians, dealing with more powerful and dangerous beings. This is shown at the start of the dialogue, when Syndra arrives at that colorful Zen-like asteroid/apartment where Neela lives. During that conversation, Neela asks if Syndra used to be a part of that category, and says she didn't know other Guardians of that level were still alive besides her and her friend. But it's not revealed who that friend is. And no, it's not Akshan. He was a part of the first Star Guardian team alongside Gwen, Harp, Syndra, and Zoe. Syndra even mentions this in a conversation with Kaisa, saying that he fell just like the others. We know that Gwen was turned into a doll, Harp fell into darkness due to her paranoia of constantly trying to come up with perfect strategies to protect her team, which eventually led her to become Fiddlesticks, and seeing all that, Zoe lost her mind and became the Twilight Star. But yes, it's pretty much confirmed that we'll get a Star Guardian Akshan. We just don't know whether he'll be normal or corrupted. But one thing's certain, he won't be wearing a shirt, since Syndra literally said he hated wearing it. Riot always finds a way. It's kinda wild. If only they put the same effort into properly fitting Kaisa's outfit and her skins. And I believe Gwen's Star Guardian will no longer remain exclusive to Legends of Runeterra. She'll probably come to League of Legends too. Basically, Gwen's case will likely follow the same pattern as the Star Guardian Orianna, Senna, and Seraphine skins, which were initially Wild Rift exclusives before eventually migrating to the main game. Now, looking at Neela's team, we might be able to guess who this mysterious friend is. According to the wiki, the friend Neela mentioned was a monster slayer. Wait a second, monster slayer? Could Riot actually release a Star Guardian Pike who later becomes a star nemesis? Honestly, it's not hard to imagine, and it would fit surprisingly well into the lore. But I know a lot of people would absolutely lose their minds over this and start calling for a boycott, saying things like they ruined the character or worse. But honestly, I think Riot couldn't care less about that. Now, I'd strongly say that Yunara would get a Star Guardian skin, but specifically as an Outer Guardian, one who lives on some isolated planet or dimension, guarding Zahin, the Darken of the Glaive. It would make perfect sense to adapt him as a cosmic skin, a warrior who once fought against the Dark Star and the corrupted entities that came with it. Maybe he even traveled alongside the First Star, helping her in battles against these beings, winning in the end but slowly becoming corrupted himself. Then, at his own request, the First Star steals him away and entrusts a Star Guardian with watching over him. That would be insanely cool. Another champion who would definitely fit here is Kayle, as Morgana's righteous and orderly twin sister, the good counterpart in this universe, where Morgana turned into a villain. Like Yunara, she'd also work perfectly as an Outer Guardian. Briar could also be a very interesting addition, possibly fitting both sides. In the Star Guardian universe, she could be a Star Nemesis, created from the essence of fallen guardians, maybe intended to be an ultimate nemesis, but ultimately a failed experiment. She'd have her villain arc, but like in her primordial skin, she'd eventually end up joining the heroes. However, she could just as easily have a cosmic or dark star skin too. In that universe, Vladimir is shown to be partially corrupted by the Dark Star. He drinks the essence of dead planets to infuse it into dying ones, but he's growing hungrier, meaning he'll eventually become a full Dark Star himself. It's very likely that in the process of consuming and transferring that essence, he ends up creating Briar Cosmic or Dark Star. And also, the most awesome one that definitely should exist, Dark Star Aatrox. Seriously, Aatrox is always declaring in almost every line that he's the destroyer of worlds and will bring the end of everything. Besides, in almost all of his skins, he's one of the strongest, and in many cases, the strongest of all. So he would fit perfectly as a Dark Star. Now, about this whole clash between Dark Star and Star Guardian, I think Riot might let the community decide who wins, and it wouldn't be the first time they've done that. Remember when Dawnbringer Riven and Nightbringer Yasuo were released back in 2017? They had a comic showing them fighting, and the result of the duel was decided by a community vote, with Yasuo winning. Later, for those who voted for Riven and were disappointed for not seeing how it would have turned out if she had won, Riot released the comic showing the alternative ending where Riven was the winner. That was such a golden time for Riot. If Riot really lets the community decide the result this time, it will be something huge, because Star Guardian and Dark Star are the two biggest and most iconic skin lines they have. But if the result is based purely on lore, Darkstar would win easily in my opinion. If they can beat the cosmic skins, there's no way the Star Guardians could stand a chance. The only thing that could really save them is the power of friendship. And it's very likely that this event will last an entire season, just like the ones we've been having for the regions. According to information shared by Big Bad Bear, Riot asked players if they would like a full season dedicated to Star Guardians and other skin lines, just like Spirit Blossom or Soul Fighter. Everyone agreed and loved the idea, so it's almost certain that it will happen. That's basically it. See you in the next video.